know he's probably a ways away, but we saw Laurent Brossois get a little ice time in, and good sign, I would assume, if nothing else.
Yeah, no, he says he feels good. To be honest with you, I think he's excited to be back and have the opportunity to kind of be around more shooters and it start to get from a really controlled environment into a little less controlled environment. So he'll work his way from kind of working with Jimmy with some shooters to into practice and that. So, I think it's good. He's excited about it.
With Renzel, what has been your feedback to him?
Well, originally, when we talk about the lineup, it was first off he's shown he's a great defenseman in this league. Like, he's done that, not just last year but this year, where he's played great games. We just need him to get back to that level. And sometimes as a coach, you almost kind of you sit a guy to give him a chance to take a breath, regroup, and then kind of reattack it a little bit. I think when he's at his best, he's controlling the puck. I think part of the process part of the maturation in the NHL is when to move it, when to make a play, make sure he's a guy who is making plays, but also when to live another day. That's part of the maturation process. But probably the bigger issue or piece is just the sensing danger. I think that's probably cost him more big chances than anything else. It's just that times when to sense danger. And so, I think I expect he'll come back and he'll play good hockey and build his game back to where he's been at different times this year and certainly as well last year.
What is that sensing danger? Is it just like awareness on the ice?
Yeah, awareness. Like, hey, we're on a rush, or we're in the offensive zone or on a rush, and someone's cheating behind me. And so I got to make sure I'm the fifth guy. I got to make sure I'm behind him. I can't kind of hang in there hoping that we keep the puck, because next thing you know, it's a breakaway the other way. Stuff like that. I think the Seattle game, Frankie turned it over in the neutral zone, but he kind of skated by the pile. Like, that's a time where you just got to stop, and we're not going to get the puck. Like, we got to make sure we're on the D side of that. So just things like that.
Last couple of weeks, you've had some key players out with injury. How have you thought your team has navigated those injuries, next man up, and the different line changes and PP units?
Yeah, I think we've done a pretty good job. I think if you get the in-game ones are in some ways easier, in some ways tougher. Like, they're tougher maybe from I thought last game, Burt was out and then Fliggy's out, and then now your power play is a little bit, you can't just plug and play because, Fliggy was the same position and now you're trying to kind of figure that out. So that makes it a little bit more difficult on the fly. But a lot of times in game, you're just kind of going, so it's easy that way. I think our guys have done a good job of, different guys have been given different responsibilities depending who's in the lineup, who's not, and guys have stepped up and done a pretty good job.
From a mental standpoint, how do you think Renzel has handled the last few days?
It's hard to ever climb inside somebody's head, but from the exterior, he seems to do a good job of not letting, when things happen to him that are tough, not let him bother him too much, and he kind of fights his way through them. He's always seemed to have done a good job of that, and I expect he'll do the same here. He's not like crazy. Some of these guys are crazy hard on themselves, where he's got a pretty positive outlook and kind of move on to the next day, not in a fake way, but just in a real way.
Do you think he's someone who benefits from more ice time, where he gets into more of a rhythm, or?
Well, that's a question that you can't. That's a chicken or egg question first. You have a lot of ice time, and then you make mistakes, so then your ice time kind of gets diminished, and then you make more mistakes, so that just kind of keeps going, or you just keep playing them. I mean, those are always those tough decisions as a coach. I'm sure part of this is just referring to the 7D men. I can't answer that question. I don't know it. I don't know. The negative of the 7D, especially if you're rotating the ones on the right side, is there's a different rhythm. I wouldn't say there's no rhythm, but there's a different rhythm. Would it help him if there was 6? I don't. Maybe not. I can't answer that. But I do know that he has to learn to excel within the framework that we're playing him. And if that's 7D, then he's got to learn to excel within that 7D. And he's played great games with 7D. So to me, now in those games did he get lots of minutes? Yes, but when you play great, you get put out there more. So that's where the chicken or egg thing comes up.
Talking about Foligno's absence, Jason Dickinson said that this is a good chance for the young guys to step up, and he also has the confidence that they can step up in the leadership aspect. Do you echo that sentiment?
Yeah, you know what, Nick's, first you have Dickie out, now you have Nick out. Nick's a big voice in the locker room in a good way, and so, there's going to be moments over the next number of weeks when he's out and until Dickie gets back in that you have Murph, but, other guys are going to have to. First off, I think the best leaders is lead by example, which I think they were already doing, but, at some point might have to say something, and it'll be a good chance for them to kind of grow in those leadership roles.
Now that you'd have a chance to go back and watch the game against Toronto, was there anything on film that stood out from Lechnoff's performance that maybe in real time you didn't pick up?
Nylander's stick. Oh, Lechnoff's performance. Sorry, I thought you were talking in general. You got me.
Was there conclusive evidence?
We have different definitions of conclusive. I would say Artie is a great instinctual player. And that's when he's at his best. And we've talked about him attacking the game more. And I thought last game was the most he's attacked it and kind of been in those spots. And when he passed the puck to Kais, I was like, shoot it. I was like, oh, what a good play. You know what I mean? Like he was on it. I think when Artie's at his best, he's skating. Starts out of his own end, having that extra. He's such a big body, can take an extra second, take a stride or two. He's going to be able to go tape to tape. Now we're going tape to tape up the ice, and he gets a chance to make those. So that play when he passed to Kaiser, it starts with him with the puck on the stick in his own end. So in general, I'd just say we want him to be a guy that attacks the game.
Where's that language situation between you and Artie at right now? Has it do you speak hockey, or is it? Are there times where you're like, okay, I don't know if he caught what I'm trying to say?
He's learning new words. He's honestly, it's good. I think the biggest thing with Artie is his English is good. He's just making sure that when he doesn't understand that he says he doesn't understand. That's the biggest. A lot of times it'll just be a head shaking, yes, and I'm like, okay, are we sure? So that's probably the barrier that I've tried to get through with him, is it's okay to say you just don't understand, and because there's guys that speak perfect English. My wife would say she doesn't understand me most of the time, and that's all right. So he's working through that.
Do you think there'll be any carryover from the last game in Calgary? It was a pretty heated, good battle.
That's a good question. I didn't even think about it until I think I was rewatching our game, and I think you guys made mention that it was a heated game, but I thought they were all kind of individual. I think they all kind of handled, I would say no, because they were taken care of in each case on the ice. But we'll see. Each game kind of takes a life of its own, and we'll see. And I think they're trying to compete their way out of the spot they're in. We're trying to continue to compete our way up as far as we can, and so sometimes that competitiveness bears itself with some.
So from that game, obviously Connor had a great game, but lately, are you happy with the secondary scoring? You've gotten Lafferty, Slaggert, Green, Doc.
I was thinking of that, yeah, for sure. It's been great, and I think the only way to ultimately win consistently in this league is you have to have secondary scoring. And I think the teams that ultimately, we talk about some teams are consistent. Well, they're consistent because when their top players don't score, their other guys score. And so I think it's a huge factor. And, the way a lot of those goals went in, obviously last was a little different, but Slag's goal was a shot with chaos, then Docker's goal is a shot tip. That's the types of goals I think we want to make sure we get on a consistent basis, so when the high-end skill plays don't result in goals, you can still score. And a lot of times anybody can kind of score those kind of goals, no matter where you're at in the lineup and no matter how much ice time you're garnering.
One more for you, Coach. Did you learn anything from the pressure that Toronto put from the goal line down? And how to defend that and stay within your structure? It's
very much like the way Calgary kind of forces the slot too. Like Toronto's game has evolved to probably into maybe a little less of a rush game, a little more of a down low game, and they did a good job down low. Those are you tax them, so you're in the right spot. But if you keep doing it over and over again, the one time you're in the wrong spot, it's going to be a chance against. So we looked at some of that stuff on film today, did that little drill at the end, working a little bit specifically on that, just making sure that we have that slot covered first, because ultimately, I think Calgary has a kind of a similar approach to Toronto.
Is Dickinson possible for tomorrow?
No, Dickinson will not be possible for tomorrow. Yep.
Bertuzzi?
Bertuzzi's still a game time, or not game time, day to day. Obviously didn't skate today, so it probably doesn't look good, but I would not totally rule him out.
Do you anticipate a call up?
No, not right now. I think we have 11 and 7. We would just go with that. Yeah.